The truth is, you will never win in life by being someone you are not. You cannot, ever, live the life of your dreams by settling for someone else's idea of what you should be doing with your life. You will never, ever be happy if you change who you are to fit in with others.
This was the biggest stage I had ever stood on. WrestleMania. The lights, the noise, the energy in that stadium, it was overwhelming. At the time, I thought this was the moment everything in my life had been building toward. I had no idea it was actually my last day working for WWE. If you look closely, I'm in there, right in the middle of it. Part of the show. Part of something I had dreamed about since I was a kid. And for a moment, it felt like I had made it. Like I had finally arrived. But looking back now, that moment wasn't the destination. It was the end of a chapter. That little Hulkamaniac right there, that's me. 7 years old and totally obsessed.
To me, these guys weren't just wrestlers. They were real-life superheroes. Growing up in the 80s, I had a lot of masculine energy to look up to, and I decided early this was what I wanted to be.
I was still just a kid, a freshman in high school. But in my mind, I was already in it. Traveling to small shows, learning on the fly, and trying to figure out where I fit in a world that I probably wasn't ready for yet. Some nights I felt like I belonged. Other nights I had no idea what I was doing. But none of it really mattered. I was chasing something. Even if I didn't understand fully what it was yet. I went from ring crew to manager and even wrestled a few matches before I was even old enough. But as I got older, something started to change. The wrestling dream didn't vanish overnight. It just got quieter, and something else started to take its place. Friday nights. Running out of the tunnel with my teammates. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I had direction again.
I played the edge, defensive end, like a hybrid between a safety and a linebacker, but right there on the line. And every night I was the smallest guy at my position, but that didn't stop me. My whole objective was to get into the backfield and cause chaos, and that I did.
There's something about football that you can't understand until you've lived it. To outsiders, it seems like a complicated game, but when you're locked into the moment, it's actually really simple. Find the ball, kill the guy who has it. There's beauty in the simplicity. It's one night a week you get to be more than a boy. You're a gladiator. There's a family bond in the brotherhood. And that's the part that guys usually miss the most when their careers are over. When my time on the gridiron came to a close, I had no idea that something even bigger than football was going to come to an end soon after. Not long after graduation, my father left.
I guess he felt like his job was done or something.
I lived in confusion for a long time after that. The wrestling dream died with adolescence. The football dream died with adulthood. And after high school, most kids went to college. I went on a downward spiral. chasing something, trying to fill some void by speeding through life.
Man, I don't want to sound like a cliche, but I am so lucky to be alive. I survived things that most people just don't. I was on a one-way fast train to nowhere good, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I am very, very grateful.
I decided it was time for a fresh start, and I chased another dream I'd quietly had for a long time: to live somewhere tropical. I settled on Florida and fell in love with Clearwater Beach, and I found myself right back in the world of professional wrestling all over again. I started attending local shows with my buddy, and I started watching the WWE at the local sports bars for their monthly pay-per-view events. Eventually, we found out WrestleMania was coming to Orlando, and my friend bought us tickets, and I was instantly bitten by the bug again. The World Wrestling Network, at the time, was a wrestling company that was affiliated with the WWE, almost like a minor league baseball system is for the major leagues. At that point in my life, I didn't want or need the spotlight. I wasn't trying to become a wrestler anymore. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone. I just wanted to be a part of it, to be out there again, just in a different role. So I became a referee. I trained like an elite athlete to be able to keep up with the action inside the ring. I studied films of the greats. I learned daily, and my progress was rapid. So rapid that after just a few months, I received an opportunity that most wrestlers wait years for. I was progressing faster than I ever expected. I went from not having a clue what I was doing to standing inside a WWE ring in just a few months. I showed up every day, put the work in, and tried to learn as much as I could. And people started to take notice. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like I was moving towards something again. Like I was finally doing something that the younger version of me would be proud of.
That tryout opened a lot of doors for me.
Get her out of here. We'll get some security and a medic. We need a medic over here.
I started getting used regularly on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Acting roles, pay-per-views, all while I was waiting for my spot to open up as a referee.
And just like that, I was in it, week after week. Different roles, different scenes. Sometimes I was a police officer or security guard. Sometimes I was a doctor or EMT. Most of the time I was just a guy getting my ass kicked. But I was there, inside the machine, and I loved every minute of it.
Rey Mysterio, oh my god, he's ripping his eye out. He's ripping his freaking eye out. I'm gonna be sick. Oh man, Rollins has just ripped Rey Mysterio's eye out. He will never be the same again. Here is your winner, the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. This is truly a horror show.
Man, I wouldn't have in a million years imagined the role that I would have been handed next. Being hand-selected by Shane McMahon himself to wrestle, yes, wrestle, a match on Monday Night Raw. Not on my career bingo card.
Out of anyone he could have paired me with, it ended up with being with someone I deeply respect. Babatunde, or Dabakato as most know him. We had already worked together before, traveling the road with Evolve. and somehow we both ended up in the same ring again, only this time on live TV. That was the beginning and the end of my television wrestling career. The next chapter of this journey was a strange time. I went back to refereeing, and I was getting better with each rep, getting trusted with bigger names, and it seemed like I was doing everything right. And people kept telling me, any day now, I should be expecting a contract offer from WWE, and to make sure to be by the phone. The months passed by without a call coming, and my gut started telling me that I was getting jerked around. I didn't understand it then. I was a favorite among some of the biggest names in the business. Guys were going to bat for me and arguing over who got me as their referee. But still, I was only seen for the value I brought as a punching bag.
Then the pandemic hit.
Everything shut down. No live events, no crowds, and for the first time in a long time, everything just stopped.
It was the first time since I stepped back in the ring that I actually had a chance to slow down for once. I remember one night sitting on the couch looking for something to watch on Netflix when I came across this series called Down to Earth.
There was an episode where Zac Efron visited a wildlife rescue center in Costa Rica. And something about it stirred something deep within me, and I spontaneously applied for their volunteer program and was accepted for a 2-month program. I knew I wouldn't be needed at home anytime soon, so I packed my bags, and within a week, I was standing in the middle of the jungle, fulfilling another childhood dream, working with animals, slowing down and breathing with the rhythms of the earth, living a completely different kind of life. There were no crowds, no lights, no performance, just the sounds of the jungle, the work in front of me, and time.
And somewhere in all of that, little by little, things started to shift. I wasn't chasing anything anymore. I was just living in the present moment.
After WrestleMania, my days were numbered. They slowly started to fade little by little, until I realized that life was no longer aligning with the man I was becoming. So I stepped away and started traveling the world to understand something I couldn't quite put into words at the time. From the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador to time spent with indigenous communities and experiences across Africa, I began to see different ways of living, different relationships with Mother Nature, and it made me realize how much I had drifted away from what really matters. The connection to the earth, to the moment, to the people and the creatures around us. Those were the things I had lost somewhere along the way. So now I'm starting over. No more chasing validation, but relearning how to live, how to move through the world with presence, curiosity, and respect for the life around me.
And if that's something you've been searching for too, I invite you to follow along, because this channel is where that journey begins.
But you won't be what you want.